And hey folks, welcome to the Annisquam Village Hall in Annisquam Village, here in the center of the village where we are enjoying today's farmers market. For another edition of Cape Ann Today, I'm Kory Curcuru along with Heather Atwood, as always. How are you, Heather?
I'm good, and I really love the emphasis on village because this place feels like such a village. You don't even have to say the word. You just walk around and it's Saturday, it's Friday morning.
Friday, yep.
But it feels like a Saturday. People are strolling and they're coming to the farmer's market to pick up their produce and their loaf of bonnie bread, which we love. Little plug there for that really good bread. And
You got your shopping out of the way already.
I have 3 loaves there because I don't see it that often.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just really nice. It feels like a village.
It's cool. So we have a great list of guests for you today, and you know, when I researched the timeline piece for Annisquam Village, which went on 1623,
excellent timeline piece, really good. Watch it.
You're gonna meet all the folks who helped me put that together here. And the great thing about Annisquam, you see this cluster of buildings around us: the Village Hall, the Historical Society, which was the Old Firehouse. We're right in front of the old Leonard Schoolhouse, which is now the Anaswam Exchange. And it's the relationship the people here have with these buildings, and how they had the foresight to create a village concept centuries ago, and the drive to maintain these buildings. And a lot of what they do is to maintain these buildings, including the current production from the Annisquam Village Players, which we're going to be speaking with their creative director, Terry Sands, momentarily. So we're glad to share all of that with you today. So we're pretty excited about it. And it's always great to get out and about in the neighborhood again.
It is, yeah, it is. So the farmer's market is behind us, and our first guest
is also behind us. Bud, are we ready? You're ready to come up on? This is Bud Riss. He is I think he's the founder of the farmer's market. He definitely organizes this incarnation of it.
We'll say founder.
Yeah.
He's the founder of the Annisquam Farmer's Market.
With my daughter. Good
Yeah.
morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
It's great. Thank you so much for being with us
Welcome
today.
to the Annisquam
Oh,
Farmers
yay.
Market.
Wait a second. No,
Hey, come over here,
Come on,
Lily.
Will.
So we have Lily Riss and Bud Riss.
Right.
Right?
Good morning again.
Thank you. Okay, so for those who don't know anything about the farmers market here, can you kind of give us the A to Z and how this all came about and what people can expect if they were to come here?
Great. So this is our 3rd year, and I think we had 3 or 4 key reasons for doing this. Number 1, to provide great food for people who live in the village here. Number 2, provide a great place for people to meet and gather on a Saturday, which became really important during COVID and unfortunately is important again.
Yeah.
And 3, cut down on driving, cut down on gas, cut down on carbon, do good for the
Yeah,
environment.
you're the only market in town, really, for something like this,
That's
right?
it.
A little bit of grocery
Yeah.
shopping, fresh
Yeah.
fish.
Yeah, Lily, you want to add to that?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing is we do it on Friday, not Saturday.
Right, yeah. And so, yeah, what are
I
the
made the
normal
same
hours
mistake.
that this happens, and how often is it going on?
It's 9 to noon every Friday from mid-June till the end of August.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And tell us what you can purchase here for your dinner tonight.
Well, I've already bought 2 bags of swordfish. I've bought some smoked oysters or mussels.
Yeah.
And we always buy a lot of corn and a lot of vegetables, and our refrigerator will be very full by the end of today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lily?
And the farmer brings really nice meat and chicken and eggs. We love those.
Yeah, let's talk about the vendors, Lily.
Yeah.
Who are participating today?
So the farm is up in Newburyport and where are they? Boxford and Amesbury, I think, north of Boston Farm. And then we have Fisherman's Wharf here from
Yeah,
Gloucester.
the Gigoloni family, yeah.
Yep. And then we have bread that gets dropped off from Beverly, Bonnie Breads. And then this week we have a pop-up. We have a guest vendor every week.
And this is Cape Ann Fresh Catch,
This
right?
is, yeah,
So,
Twin Lights Smokehouse.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful smoked fish. Yeah, we
One
love
of,
their
the,
stuff.
one of the really tricky things here, we want to keep it small. As you can see, this is a perfect place for it. There should have been a farmer's market here all along, right?
Yeah, well, everything
Yeah.
else was here, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's like, as I said earlier, a Norman Rockwell painting, you know, and we want people to walk. We don't want to attract a lot of people driving. On the other hand, we need to make sure there's good business for the vendors, so they'll come. So trying to keep it small is a really interesting balance.
Yeah, and very pet friendly too. We've already noticed
Very-
a lot of dogs out here running around, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go right ahead.
There has been word on the street that farmers markets in general are suffering. Do you have any feelings about that?
You know, we roughly keep track of how many people come each week with a very old-fashioned system of hashtags, and you know,
Yeah.
and I think it's been a little slower this year for sure, don't you think, Lil? I mean, you know, we have 100 to 200 people usually on a Friday morning,
Yeah.
and you know, now this COVID is back, and I think people are a little bit nervous about it. I think most everybody here is my age. Sorry, Lil, and so we're all vaccinated, and we feel pretty comfortable, and it's outside, which is a good thing.
Right.
But
Right.
And I think the vendors will also tell you they have a hard time staffing up. You know, it's enough to do on the farm, but also to put people in a truck to go unload and pack up for a farmer's market.
Yeah, that's a great
It's hard right now.
Yeah, really
you know?
true.
Yeah.
Really true.
So how did the market here come about? You said there's 3 years now, but so who conceptualized the idea and put this all together?
We just thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
So then we talked to the Village Hall Association, and they said, sure, give it a try. So we're sort of like a project of their group. Yeah.
We make an enormous amount of money as a nonprofit. Last year we netted $115, which, you know, and I will tell you, you know, the most important reason for doing this, father and daughter doing something together, running a little thing like this is just a great fun, a great privilege. So,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's really
If
nice.
people want to learn more about the market, how can they go about doing that? Are you online at all?
Talk to our IT person.
Yeah.
We're on Instagram. It's just Annisquam Farmers Market.
Very
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
And so
Try to keep
what
it
do you
simple.
want to tell folks who maybe don't spend a lot of time in Annisquam? They maybe haven't thought of a reason to come to Annisquam,
Right.
But just to turn them on to this area because, you know, we've sort of fallen in love with this spot in a short amount of time here. We spent a lot of time here,
Yeah.
and each time I come back, it's just great people. The history is amazing, and that neighborhood, cozy neighborhood village vibe.
Exactly. So, you know, most people, what you need to know is you got to make a left or right at the church, depending on which direction you're coming from,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we certainly feel like this should be a welcoming place for everybody in Gloucester to come and enjoy. And you know, it's fantastically beautiful. A lot of it is historic and, you know, has been kept very nicely. And unfortunately, we don't have public beaches, you know, to invite everybody to. But we hope people will come and visit. And it's a great town to walk around in and really enjoy. And it's cool and shady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for a bike ride, too.
Yeah.
Do you both live here in Annisquam, in the village?
We also have a place in the North End in Boston, but
Nice.
since COVID, we've been here for a year and a half and really loving it. You know,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
great.
as Lily knows, we've been renting houses here for 40 years, and then 5 years ago we finally bought, and we feel really privileged and really lucky to be able to have a place here.
Yeah. Lily, how has the neighborhood responded to the market?
People are very loyal. It's
Yeah.
really sweet, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, they come every week to get whatever, their tomatoes or their fish. And it's really nice just to see the same neighbors over and over, and it brings a really friendly feeling.
That was fun. We were starting to set up at 9 a.m. right as the market opened. There were already people here waiting for the vendors to unpack.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know, this is a very heavily used spot. So as you've seen, there's a play here this evening. So at about 4 o'clock, this becomes 200 or 300 chairs. You know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
we're going to be speaking with the Annisquam Village Players creative director Terry Sands momentarily.
Good.
Learn about that. But Bud and Lily Riss, thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time
Thank
today
you.
and
And thanks for
your
the bread.
hospitality, of course. We're eating up some of your vendor space here, but we
You're
really
always
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
you
Take
so
care.
much.
Have a great
Take care.
market. Yep. Bud and Lily Riss from the Annisquam Farmers Market. That was nice. And this is, they do a really good job with this. That's
They do.
surprised.
I got everything I need for dinner tonight and tomorrow. So
Yeah, that is true. And actually, I got dinner too. I had to hit up Fresh Catch, and
I still need my smoked fish, but I'll get over
Yeah, we
that.
hauled out already. Yeah, we have them actually holding stuff for us. So, all right, who is next today?
We have.
Is it Val? Oh,
Oh.
come on in, Val. Ward 4 Councilor Val Gilman.
excited.
Back again. You're a recurring guest
I
on
had to get
Cape Ann
up on
today,
this
Val.
big high.
And
Yeah,
you
you'll be
matched the
fine.
set. You
This
look
is-
so good.
This is like the Lily Tomlin chair.
It's good to see you both.
It's
Thanks
great
for
to
being
see
with us
you.
again.
Yeah.
How have you been? How's summer going?
It's great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's
How,
great.
how are those quarries doing?
The quarries are
woods?
pretty calm.
Excellent.
The quarries are calm.
Yeah.
The,
Last summer was hard.
the new parking restrictions, I think, has sent a message out that, you know, we have to be respectful to the neighbors, and I think people are doing a good job. The police is doing a good job. They go up in their ATVs and they check from time to time to make sure people are behaving, and we're doing pretty well with the quarries. So
Yeah.
thank you.
That's
And
great.
you both helped with sponsoring, hosting some shows and webinars. So thank you.
Well, it was a tough situation last summer. I mean, the whole city had thousands of people come
Right.
in.
It was
that-
pretty unprecedented, yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, there's nothing else going on last summer except for people trying to escape the city.
Yeah.
right.
And aren't we lucky to have what we have?
All these
but-
natural resources around us and destination points, and you get discovered over and over again and rediscovered, especially with everyone living online essentially last year. So it's
Right.
great that we got ahead of that issue.
Right, and I'm grateful. And also we increased the parking fee, fines from $15 to $50 for the resident-only parking, which is very helpful. And we added a couple of streets to beach parking as well.
Right.
Last year, so that does help.
Yeah.
So you had to really work with the city and the police department sort of to let them know this is really a problem out here in Ward 4, and can you give us a hand? And where their emphasis is downtown and Good Harbor Beach with all that, right? So you want to talk about the success of that relationship? Because
It is a good success, and I was very appreciative that Chief Conley attended that Kory forum that we had, the Zoom forum. It was the first forum that we had on a city matter, and when the mayor was on it as well, and Les Bartlett. It was very helpful. So I think that there has been a good partnership. And what typically we do if we anticipate that there's going to be a hot weekend, I called Assistant Chief Joe Fitzgerald, and he gives me a feel for what the coverage is for the Korys for the weekend. Do they have officers signed up? And so it gives us a sense of peace knowing that there are officers signed up for overtime to go in on the ATVs. And then I typically will spread that with the neighborhood watch group just to give them a heads up that they're up there.
Yeah.
And but they all know that the thing to do when you're concerned about safety, as you call 978-283-1212. You want to always call the dispatch. And so I think we've got a good pattern down and a good partnership. It's the police do a great job.
Yeah.
Really.
Do you spend a lot of time in Annisquam? Since we're here, because this is a beautiful setting.
Here?
Oh, yeah.
I do,
Yeah.
yes. I'm on the board of the Annisquam Village Players. I've been on that
saw
for
that
10
actually,
years.
yeah.
Our boat is right at Lobster Cove.
Yeah.
My son works at the Marina Dock. So I'm down here quite a bit.
Yeah.
This used to be my walking terrain.
It's a great
I'm a
walking.
mile down Revere Street where I live. But now that we have a 14-month-old golden retriever, we have to do the trails. Having him going around here is it's a little bit crazy.
So, I want to ask a very official question because people have asked me this. Is Revere Street considered Annisquam? See, you can't answer either.
Is that where the ward divides?
So I call myself Bayview. I don't call myself Annisquam, and I don't know why, but a lot of the events and things down here have always included Revere Street.
Yeah.
I think it's because maybe Marsha Norton was always a major player in everything that happened here, and she's at the end. She was my neighbor and lives at the end. I'm not sure, so I don't know what the official premise is, but I always say that I live in Bayview.
Yeah, I think that's what I would think too. If I think Revere Street, I'm thinking that's more Bayview.
Right.
But you're right there as well.
Right.
So,
Aren't we lucky?
Yeah.
Lucky just being in Gloucester for sure.
Hey, so Val, do we want to talk about the political season right now?
Gee.
This is crazy. So, one thing I want to ask is when we're anticipating a lot of turnover. There's just a lot of new faces, a lot of familiar faces are leaving. How are you feeling about that? Do you get excited knowing you're going to be dealing with new faces? Are you hesitant in any way, or like?
I am always concerned about losing the institutional knowledge because there is a benefit to that. And folks like, Steve LeBlanc and Melissa
and
Cox, Jen,
Jonathan Pope,
John,
there's a lot of names there, Joel.
Even John McCarthy.
Yeah.
I think someone said 40 years. Collectively.
So I miss that. I will miss that. But now I have 12 years now, 6 years in the school committee, 6 years on the city council. So I guess the things that I hope is that the folks that are truly interested in getting on the council are attending Zoom meetings, they're watching, they're listening, they're looking at the minutes. We need to make sure that they're ready to hit the ground running. We can't be in a learning mode because we have so many issues, and there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
One of the requirements per the charter is giving them 6 months of minutes and to understand. But now they can watch it in Zoom. So I'm always looking to see who's on the calls, who's listening, who knows what's going on, who's attending the subcommittee. And so I hope for those that are really interested that they really start rolling up their sleeves and doing that because, like I said, we are going to be a very young committee. And although there are people running that have strong experience as well.
Right.
You know, which is great. You know, Jason Grow, former counselor, Tony Gross, former school committee for many, many years. So there are people coming on board that understand the charter and the bylaws and parliamentary procedure, which does help. But I'm eager to watch the debates, and I'm eager to see people's views on things. And when they call me and they want to talk to me about things, even Jeff Wordley, I didn't leave him.
Right.
I didn't mention him, but he's a former city councilor as well. But when they call me and say, let's meet, what are the big issues that you see? I really respect that, because that's a learning curve, right? It's really important. So I'm looking
So what
forward.
are the big issues that you see on the horizon in the upcoming year?
Well, I think I'm eager to see the results of the open space survey that the Open Space and Recreation Partnership with Community Development has done. I think that's really important. I think that's always a good way to prioritize what our values are and what the taxpayers really want. I think that's really important. We have a lot of challenges with private road repair right now. You know, we have a very good betterment policy. I just did Squam Rock Road, where we're doing a betterment. National Ave did one. It's great, but you know what? We need to get more money in that public Chapter 90 fund from the state. Currently, we get $700,000. That's only enough money to repave all our public roads for every 40 years, and they need to be repaved every 20 years. And as a result, we're very hesitant to take new streets and make them public, even if they're highly used roads, because we don't get enough money to even do the current public roads that we have. So that's an issue that we really need to kind of, you know, start lobbying more with our legislators and get them on board. So that, to me, is one of the issues in this ward that's near and dear, that people are potholes on streets. People are on a private road. They have to repair them with their own abutters, and that's a struggle. They
That's very
don't
hard.
know that,
Right.
and then we have to explain that. And they're grumpy, you know, and
It's one of the biggest issues in local government, right? Potholes.
it really is.
It really
It
is,
really
yeah.
is. It's yeah.
It always comes down to potholes. It's amazing.
Yeah, right. No, it's true.
Well,
Yeah.
Val, we really appreciate your time.
Oh,
You've
my
been a
time goes
great-
so fast.
It's
Oh,
you
I
fly
could
by.
sit and
It's
talk all
amazing.
day.
I know.
We have to do that. We have to have a longer
Really?
conversation.
Yeah, well, you've been
Yeah.
a great friend of Cape Ann today, too.
Yeah.
So we
Thank
thank you
you.
again.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your summer, Val,
Thank
too.
you.
So good to see
And
you.
both
the next time
awesome.
we're in the neighborhood, it could be Bayview next time.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh!
Tap on
well,
your shoulder,
We
yep.
can do it at we can do it in the trails, or
Yeah.
we can do it at the fire station.
Yeah, seriously,
Oh,
there,
that'd be
now we're
fun.
talking.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right.
That's okay.
It's
We
all
are all
right.
in. Val
Yeah.
Gilman,
Take
your
care.
ward counselor for
Thank
Ward
you.
4.
Bye.
Thanks so much, Val.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Awesome stuff. And if you're just tuning in, folks, we are here at Annisquam Village Hall, Annisquam Exchange, Annisquam Village Central for today's Farmers Market, which is going on until, I believe, noon. We start at 9 to noon on Fridays.
Is there bread left? I think there is.
Well,
yeah.
you have 6 loaves in your car.
I know, right? Exactly.
That was pretty impressive. Yeah. How much bread does David eat?
A lot, and he really likes that bread, so he's going to be very happy. Bonnie
Hey,
bread.
Chris, come on up. Come on up. This is Chris Griffiths now. He's joining us. He is, of course, the managing director, Gloucester Stage. Chris, are we still calling it Gloucester Stage Company at all? Is it just?
We're thinking about changing it to Rockport Stage Company. At this
Yeah,
point.
yeah. What is going on?
Yeah.
It's good to see you again, by
It's
the
good
way.
to see you as well. Thanks for
Outside
having
of
me.
Zoom.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. We're in the outdoors. It's still, that's one of the best parts about Cape Ann is that we have so many beautiful outdoor spaces.
And you found one.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We're
Tell us about that.
Blowing
So-
one up. Yeah, no, it's been great. So Gloucester Stage, of course, has been hidden away for the last year and a half or so. But this summer we partnered with the beautiful Windhoven Performing Arts Center up in Rockport, right by Halibut Point State Park. It's definitely one of those hidden gems. I think everyone talks about hidden gems across Cape Ann. Just like this hidden gem here. And I didn't know there was a farmer's market until we came here today. But what
Yeah.
a great background.
Surprise.
Yeah.
And and here we are. We're up. We have a whole theater that we've created, built brand new from scratch, including safety rails and air conditioning and electricity and all this stuff for all of our actors and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun, full beer garden, everything. So it should be a really good time.
Sweet.
So when did this concept emerge? When did you begin to say, wait a minute, we could do this, and maybe we should do it with Windover? And I like to say, who asked whom out first?
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Well, I think I was the courtesan and then trying to get Lisa to say yes. So Lisa Hahn is, of course, the person who owns Windover Center for the Performing Arts, and it was founded by her parents, who were from New York, and they were looking for a beautiful place to set up camp, quite literally, for an all-girls school of dance.
Dancers,
Almost 50 years ago. And so they found this beautiful dairy farm that had, sort of was the last working farm on Cape Ann, and purchased that, and then sort of retrofitted all of the barns into these beautiful dance studios and cabins. And so typically what happens in the summer are companies from New York come. There's a ballet company, there's a fantastic postmodern dance company coming from New York the next couple weeks, and they stay for the week in the cabins, and then they perform on stage.
Or in the quarries.
Right, or in the quarries, exactly, thank you. Yeah, the most important one is coming up. Yeah, that's
Right.
right. So one big part of that is that Gloucester Stage has been doing shows for a long time. We see almost 20,000 people a year, typically. Windover is maybe an event for 200 people a couple times.
Yeah.
So this is really where the marriage of the two organizations can come together. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the patron support necessary to make sure everyone has a safe experience. And so we've been able to see, somewhere around 2,000 people a week up there at this point. So it's just insane. We have over 10 events happening just this week alone every night. So it's pretty crazy.
10 performances of Seared, or including her
good
dance
question.
performances?
So right now, so we have a fantastic production by Teresa Rebeck, who's a local playwright. She's actually the most renowned female playwright right now of our time. She also wrote the TV series Smash, so that's where most people have heard her from, which is great. So if you're, a big fan of that, this is a good show. So that show is a full kitchen where we're literally cooking food. There's a working oven, a working sink in the middle of the woods up in Rockport, which is crazy, but that show runs Wednesdays through Sundays. But then we've also added a couple play readings. We like to see what's coming in and look at shows with some actors before we do them the next year.
Yeah.
So we're already looking at 2022. We try to invite folks into that. We have a fantastic performance piece about Isabella Stewart Gardner coming up. This is a woman who stayed with us, was in a show, and while she was on Eastern Point, she got inspired by the Beauport Sleeper McGann house, and those two guys were actually best friends of Isabella Stewart Gardner.
Right.
They were sort of her gay friends. I guess I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but that's what they were.
I think you are.
I think so. We're all understanding at
Yeah.
that point now. But they would write her letters, hey, I have this fantastic idea for this new black and red room. You'll just die. You can't believe it. And she would come up and visit for the summertime, and it was infatuated with it. So the actor got inspired, wrote this fantastic piece about this wonderful woman who got just totally immersed in the art world. So we're doing that piece next week.
So it's based on Isabella Stewart Gardner, the character.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
It's her it's sort of her life legacy. I don't know if you knew this, but she lost a child, she lost her husband, and sort of this woman, sort of in this time period where women weren't doing things or weren't owning a lot of property, she was in buying art against the National Gallery, against the Louvre, and she was outbidding them. And so for her, she became this titan of these amazing works of art, and that's really why the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum is so spectacular, because she had a place and a purpose in mind for every piece that she bought back then, and of course she lived there too.
I just read in the Globe today, there's a Titian show at the Gardner Museum, and she purchased a Titian, and at the time it was the most expensive painting ever sold.
Ever.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is amazing.
She's just a really badass lady doing some cool
Yeah.
stuff, and so it's neat to see her. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. So it's really great. It's great to see her, that passion, where that's coming from, and her love story with art come alive on stage. So
when is that production?
Yeah, so that is this coming Sunday and Tuesday in the evening.
Okay.
Because literally there's just only day we take off are Mondays. Every other day we want to have something great going on that people can just walk up and take in. So
Yeah.
That's great.
So what's next for the stage company coming as we turn the page from summer into fall, and hopefully we're not backsliding into what we went through last year?
Yeah, no kidding.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, I think it's what makes it special. The magical weather here does not last all season, right? Eventually it will get cold again, but soak it in now, take the beaches in. It's not over yet.
Yeah.
Go see a play.
That's right. Buy some vegetables.
Yeah, right.
Get a beer and watch a show.
Yeah.
So we have the show Seared running now until the end of this month.
I saw it. It's great.
Oh,
Have to
thank you.
say that. Yeah, it's really, really, it's entertaining, it's wise, it's funny, it's really good.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it really, we're so proud of it. There's a lot of dishes to do at the end of each show, but
Yeah.
which is
And
a
that
funny
guy,
one.
he cooks on stage, that guy.
Yeah.
He made his own dinner.
They every actor eats the food that they make actually on the stage, which is so crazy. So
yeah.
whole new world. All food safe.
Yeah.
And so that runs into this week. We have a great dance week lined up at the end of this month, and then next in September we have a brand new show. This is the second premiere of a show called Reparations. It actually just came from the Billie Holiday Theater in Brooklyn. It's phenomenal theater there. And so really excited about that show. That probably has a good chance of going back to New York as a commercial run eventually.
Really?
So we're excited about that.
Very cool.
But then the weather gets a little bit colder. So the plan is to get ready to move back indoors in October if our community's health is at the place where we can do that.
Yeah.
We have a really great show that is perfectly primed for Val. It's a whole story about if sort of that candidate that runs every year over and over again and never wins, what happens if they finally make it into the hot seat of the mayoral race? And what a more perfect time.
Is it called Roberti?
Yeah,
almost.
Almost.
Yeah, his name's Buddy Chum
Yeah,
in this piece, so it's close enough. But
It's written by Ken Riaf.
it is, local playwright Ken Riaf, many folks know. He's a multi-talented man, so some might not know that he writes plays, but he really has got
Yeah,
a
he
great grip
fishes,
on it.
he does law, he writes plays.
Yeah. So it's the magic of Gloucester politics comes through in this great piece. So you'll get to watch a play, you'll get to live in the play, we'll get to experience the reality TV show that will be this year's election, which will be wonderful.
Right, exactly.
And you'll actually be hosting the mayoral debate for the general election this fall as well.
It'll be such a blurry line. What's happening? What is
it?
Watch it all year. On 1623, it's all gonna unfold. Get your tickets now. Just listen. It's free. It's great. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be good.
It's really
Chris,
what's
we
real?
love chatting with you. It's so good to actually do it in person now, 'cause it's always a
Yes.
lot of laughs virtually, but it's just been great getting to know you. We have to do one of these at the stage sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it'll be
Yeah.
great. We'll get you all the cool costumes, the hats, and everything. We'll,
Oh, that would be
we'll go on.
fun.
Yeah. Now, if
Costumes.
people want to learn more about Gloucester Stage, how can they go about doing it?
Yeah, as always, there's like tickets, info, background, bios, everything. GloucesterStage.com.
There you go. And so we can't wait to introduce our next guest because, as you know, this is actually the setting of the oldest continuously running community theater in the country. We found out.
Insane.
Yeah.
Come on, there's just so much art in Cape Ann.
Do
How
you
can
know
we
that Sound of Music was written here?
I did know that
did know
because
that, yeah.
Lindsay Krause, the fantastic local star who was getting her vegetables here just
Yeah,
She
just a
was,
minute ago.
I swear, yeah.
her father helped write the music for that, and so that's why she's named Lindsay Krause because
Howard
was the
Lindsay.
last name. Yeah, that's right. And his partner was Mr. Krause. So,
Right.
yeah.
I
Russell
didn't know
Crouse.
that until I watched your timeline.
Listen, you can learn a lot by listening.
Right. Exactly.
And there's so much
Yeah.
of like that everywhere on Cape Ann. There's just so many magical stories.
It's crazy.
true.
Well, it was great catching up,
Yeah,
Chris.
my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Congrats on Seared, and we'll enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
And I'll be in to see something else. And you're coming too.
We bring me.
We'll get you a drink.
We'll bring bread. Yeah, we'll do everything. Yeah.
Bread is always
Yeah,
welcome.
we'll be
bread.
cooking. Can we cook in the background for this?
Pop up, bring the bread. It'll be great. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Awesome. Chris Griffiths, he's the managing director over at Gloucester Stage, and like I said, we love chatting with him.
He's wonderful.
He's a ton of fun.
Yes.
And you love the production. You told me days ago about
And
Seared.
the production before that. I didn't see the Sherlock Holmes one, but I did see the Cheryl Strayed play.
Yeah. All right, are we ready for Terry? Terry Sands. Yeah. Come on down.
Okay.
All right, folks, this is now Terry Sands. He is the artistic director of the Annisquam Village Players, and Terry was the catalyst for the Annisquam Village timeline that just came out, and it's been great getting to know you throughout the spring and summers when we first connected.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
It's great to see you again.
Good to see you.
And nice to meet you, Terry.
We're so excited. Right, I hope you got pictures of the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Well, as you probably know, the AVP is, we think, based on your and my research, the oldest continually operating community theater in the entire country. We traced our roots back to 1863, and the very first production was in this yard where we're doing this now on an outside stage, and the show was written by a Annisquam person, and our show was written by Mary Curtis.
Right. The grandson, we believe, of the minister of the village church wrote that play back in 1863. Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing.
160 years later, it's the first time I've been directing these plays for 30 some years now, and it's the first time we've done anything outside.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, it was always in the village hall.
We're always in the village hall.
Oh, right.
And kind of because of COVID and stuff, we couldn't have auditions this year. So what I did is I went back through the list of people who've been with the AVP, some going back 30 years. We have some people who haven't been with us for like 25 years who performing here. A lot of them are doing it because of Mary Curtis, who wrote the show.
You're gonna ask about that.
And she just died a month ago. But this spring, I knew she had written 2 musicals, and so when we knew we couldn't do our regular show upstairs, I said, Mary, can I read your 2 plays? I didn't tell her we were actually thinking we were doing. So I read them, and this one, Jekyll and Hyde, Nothing to Hide, was brilliant. And so I said to her, can we do this? And she said, oh, she was so happy. And she and I went through every scene, so I know exactly what she wanted out of every scene. You know, I didn't know she was going to die.
You didn't know
before.
that she was terminal? Or was she terminal?
Well, she's 91.
Well, she's 91.
Yeah, right,
and
yeah.
her mind was sharp as a tack, but her body was really giving out.
Yeah.
So I knew exactly, every night while I've been directing summer, I felt she's with me.
Oh, that's really
it's-
So,
sweet.
Terry,
yeah.
how do you convert the story of Jekyll and Hyde into a musical comedy?
That is what blew me away. Before I read her script, I went back and watched the Spencer Tracy movie, 1941. I had nightmares that night. That's scary. The original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's a comedy, and it takes place in modern day Anaswam, 2021.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the Dr. Jekyll is the great grandson of the famous one from London in the 1800s, and he just moved to Annisquam, and he works at a hospital in Boston.
This sounds like it could all be very real, to tell you the truth.
It's so real. And so he sets up a lab in his house in Annisquam, and the lawyers in London have just discovered the original book that his great-grandfather had. So they sent it to him, and he's in his lab the first night, and he reads the formula. And so he said, should I take, it's a great scene, should I take the formula, should I not? And he said, and finally he says, oh, it can't be any worse than the second COVID shot. So we updated.
That's a great line.
Throughout the whole show, I said to Mary, when I said we're going to do the show, I said, she wrote it in 1979, so 45 years ago. So I said, we're going to have to update the script some and to make it relevant. And we have, but one of the funniest scenes is, so he drinks the formula and all kinds of stuff go on, and then Hyde appears. And I don't want to give too much of it away, but one of the funniest scenes is Dr. Jekyll's neighbor is in marketing, and he said, I have got the greatest thing. In COVID time, nobody's been able to have friends over. You know, everybody's getting lonely. You need a buddy. You can make your own buddy out of this formula, the test tube. and he has a song called "Make Your Own Buddy." This guy, and it's hysterical. And then the 8 clone buddies appear, and I'm not going to describe them. Every night, the audience laughs for 10 minutes because.
And Terry, we should say this is happening right
now. Right now.
Yeah.
We opened Tuesday night. No, Wednesday night. We've had 2 nights, and then we've got 2 more tonight and tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Monday night we had Tuesday night we had senior night, which the AVP has done for a long time. We give free tickets out to Rose Baker.
Oh,
and,
nice.
and in Rockport to the equivalent in Rockport.
Yeah.
And we had a whole group of seniors here, and they're some of our best audiences.
I bet they
laugh
loved it.
at everything.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's really fun.
If people want to get tickets for the event, how can they go about doing that?
Oh, the only way this year, you have to go on our website, AnnisquamVillagePlayers.com, and you can buy the tickets right there. We have been, for the last 3 weeks, we've been selling tickets here at Farmers Market for people who don't feel comfortable, there. But that's only for like another half an hour, another hour. But yeah, go on online.
And there's still tickets available.
Yeah, tonight technically is sold out, although the last 2 nights have been sold out, and there were a couple of empty chairs. So if tonight's the only night you can come, and we'll try to fit you in.
Yeah.
But tomorrow night, I think there are maybe 20, 25 tickets left.
Okay, so there's spots available.
So-
And Terry, we want to say too that this is truly an inclusive community theater effort. Like these are residents
Yes.
who are participating in the actors. Yeah.
Yes, very definitely. We've had professional actors and actresses. We've had CEOs of companies. We have school teachers. It runs the gamut of of everything. I'm a judge, or I was a judge, and so it's kind of everybody, and the talent. It blows me away.
Comes through, yeah.
The talent we have in this community is just outstanding.
So could you just give us the lowdown? Let's say someone wants to be in the play next summer.
Yep.
You've decided what the play is,
Yes,
right?
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. How much
We
money
were
is that?
supposed to do it last summer, and we couldn't. This summer, and we couldn't. So next summer, we're praying that we can do it. But we have the rights for it. And we have auditions Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
um,
perfect.
every
so
year.
people are here.
And people
yeah,
are here.
That's great.
And word has kind of spread. We have people from all over the North Shore, from Boston. They
Who come to
up here.
audition?
You know, I don't like to brag about it, but we have established a reputation of putting on some really quality shows.
Yeah.
And so we have people from all over, but we love to have the locals in it. And every year, a lot of the people are locals. They're just as talented as some of these
I've had lots of my
professionals.
friends have been in the productions there too. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so much fun. But I'm just so excited this year. It's here.
Yeah.
Right
I know,
where
it's
it all
wonderful.
started.
So
right,
crazy.
Right. And
So-
thank you, Mary Curtis, for writing this
Yeah,
play.
thanks
and
to Mary.
Oh, well, you know, I've been directing with her for like 25 to 30 years, and she's written some romance novels, and I'd read a couple of those, but the script is brilliant. It is
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, and I have a new appreciation for her that luckily I was able to tell her because I'd read it, you know, before she passed, and I said,
Yeah.
"Wow, you are amazing."
So
That's
there you go. So it's
wonderful.
Nothing to Hide is the name of the production, and
Yeah.
that is going on through Saturday night right here
Right.
at Annisquam Village Hall, the Lawn here at 36 Leonard Street. And you can get tickets at AnnisquamVillagePlayers.com. Bud's back.
I was just going to say, how many farmers markets get to share the space with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Oh, and
Terry and Bud.
While we're talking about local talent,
Yeah.
Bud has a daughter, Sarah's your youngest.
Yeah.
And she,
My oldest. Sarah.
She's the oldest?
She's the oldest.
I keep thinking of her. I keep thinking of her as like 5 or 6.
Well, that's what about your
in our
daughter.
original production of Sound of Music, which was written in Anaswam.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
really,
Right,
it's,
Yeah, we're
it's
gonna talk
incredible.
about that.
Sarah was the youngest Fun Trap kid, and so she was like 5, 6, 7 years old. She has the most spectacular singing voice. And
She gets from her mother.
and so we have a winter event called Cabaret Night in February.
Right.
And this past year, since we couldn't have it in person, we had people film it from their homes. And so I got a hold of Sarah, who lives in California. She sang this glorious song. And so it's really cool to have, you know, some people who have been involved with us from the very beginning.
Yeah,
who are still-
generations.
Gretel. That was Gretel, the youngest in
Yes,
Sound of Music.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Did you notice he didn't talk about the time I played a monk?
You kept quiet that whole time?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, Bud's been on stage once with us. He played a monk in King and I.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
The old Brenner's gig.
Oh,
Right.
oh yeah.
Remember that, yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Very
I
cool.
Well, Terry, thank you so much.
Yeah,
for,
it's really been cool getting to know you the
everything.
last few months.
I
I'm
know.
glad that piece is out there now so people can learn a little bit about the AVP and the Village Hall and everything around here too. And hopefully, I mean, obviously we've heard great things about the production. And you get a couple
Yeah.
more bang out nights here.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's really fun. No, it's been really fun working with you at the beginning and going back, and then you helped us on our research, and you
Yeah.
did some more research. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Really
cheers to
appreciate it.
you, and hey, break a leg, right?
Oh,
Nothing to
yes.
hide.
Yeah.
Next
Good
two
luck
nights.
for
Yes,
the rest of the
very cool.
weekend, and maybe I'll get a ticket.
All right.
There you go.
Score
Very
one.
good.
Yeah.
So
All
it's
right,
Terry
thanks.
Sassy is artistic
Bye.
director of the Annisquam Village Players. And you heard it, folks. It is the oldest continuously running community theater in the country, right here. And it started on this lawn in 1863. And actually, we've talked to some people. We actually think it predates that a bit as well. But it was initially set up as a fundraiser for the Union during the Civil War. And then it's since evolved into, they help maintain the buildings. They had to raise the roof fundraiser here, and they put on productions to literally maintain the village's buildings.
So that's where all the proceeds still go to maintain the buildings.
That's it.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
So Kory, I see a theme here that we do shows and I go to see them, or we talk
Yeah.
about things and then
Yeah.
I go to see them,
Yeah.
but you don't. So you
Well,
need to get out
I know
there.
because I'm usually doing the backstory stuff and finding out how these all came about and where and why. and even like the Mary Curtis facet to that story.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I mean, you turning the story of Jekyll and Hyde into a musical comedy. That's pretty impressive.
That is,
And to
yeah.
do it 42 years ago and have it reprised now and updated and refreshed in her honor. And memory is a very cool thing. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
AnnisquamVillagePlayers.com if you want to get tickets here. And we are at 36 Leonard Street in Annisquam Village. So now we have another great guest. So someone else who was a big help in our Annisquam Village piece for Timeline. His name is Dave Pierce. He is a resident here. And Dave, I'm referring to you. Come on up, Dave.
All right, okay. Yes, sir. My cameo appearance?
Yeah. Dave, I'm referring to you as the village historian. Is that all right?
Oh, that's pretty scary.
That's a pretty
That's
lofty
pretty scary.
title. Yeah.
But I'm sure there are a lot of people around here that if I don't know the answer, I can invent one.
Oh, you're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh,
These guys will all back me up.
Well, I'd like to know what makes you the village historian.
Well, I grew up here, spent my whole life so far, as they say, here.
yeah.
My first house was 22 Arlington Street down here.
Beautiful.
And then for 40 some odd years, we spent time in the family homestead on the other side of the cove, right on the cove. And 2 years ago, I moved back there to the yellow house.
Oh, no kidding, man.
Oh, that yellow house
Yeah.
right there?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, very
lovely.
here.
So, Dave, I want to say thank you for all your help
very welcome.
with the research and everything for the Annisquam Village timeline. There was one thing in particular that you said to me when we started working on that together that stood out, and it was that your ancestors the ancestors of the village had the foresight to conceptualize the village concept and really drive it home and then work to maintain that concept. Can you just talk about that a bit?
I'll try to, yes. So many generations before mine, a lot of people started to do things, I guess back in the 30s, when the village hall was up for sale. It had been used as a sale loft, and before the church. 3 ladies and I guess a gentleman put some money up, and it was about the time when kids were roaming around, didn't have a place to go, so they bought the building. And later on, back in the 50s, the schoolhouse, when it was closed up as a schoolhouse, became available, and across the street, Dr. Andrews, who was a dentist here, bought it for $1. And then the firehouse at the same time became available, was no longer used as a firehouse. So that became available. So people have always come together to try and bring this place together.
Right.
And Memorial Wood was donated to us, so the alongside Washington Street on the other side is all the woods behind the stone wall. That was for World War I veterans. They have a memorial there.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know
Yes,
that.
yeah.
We were just talking about World War One.
And so, and another group had put together Squam Rock Land Trust, which is Lighthouse Beach. And another group got together and for Cambridge Beach. So there are all these little associations, and people work together.
Yeah.
And it's not like the city or the state did anything for us. These are people who took their own money and our own thoughts and said this would be a good thing to do for the community.
Right.
And were there many veterans in this, in this community?
Yes.
Yeah.
World War I had at least, 4 who passed away.
That's
Who
a
was in
lot
drills
for
over
that,
there.
yeah.
And for a small village like this. And so,
Right.
yes, my grandfather was in World War I as well. And so there are a lot of people here.
Right.
And I don't know whether it's been Gloucester's tradition always to take part. If you look at the Civil War, at even Revolutionary War, people always, and I don't know, during
Lot
my
of
time,
service.
of course, ROTC, Army ROTC at the high school was mandatory for 3 years.
Right.
That's so interesting.
So we have a lot of people who end up going into the services. For various reasons, yeah.
Can I ask a
Go
question?
right ahead,
I'm
please
kind
do.
of curious, Dave. When was the shift to more of a summer community? I realize it's not entirely a summer community, and maybe your
No,
testament to
it's. I've watched it
that. Yeah.
ebb and flow.
Yeah.
So when I was born in 1947, I was a war baby, and growing up here, there were probably a third of the houses were dark at night. So it had been a very big summer community. We had a lot of hotels here. People would come up from New York and Philadelphia and various places that live. In those times, they came up by train, typically with their trunks, and they'd be here for 2 months.
Right.
And they'd
This
stay
is
in the
before
big
World
old
War II.
hotels.
Yeah.
Yes, before World War II. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
1890s or so.
Yeah.
And with the Depression and then World War II following it, a lot of these places closed up. People stopped coming up, and it had been always had a artistic community. I mean, you can read about the schools of various artists who came here every summer. But after World War II, a lot of places were closed up. And then I watched people opening up summer cottages as I was a teenager. So we had a huge inflow of teenagers here in the summer. It was wonderful for me.
Oh, yeah.
And
This is back when the Village Hall was also a pool hall?
well, yes. Shortly after
Keep you
those
guys
times,
out of trouble?
Would try and keep us
Or
out
at
of
least
trouble.
contained.
Yes. And with the yacht club down here, it was great because at those times, with I say all the war babies, there were junior yacht clubs all around the place. So there were dances almost every week between here and
fun.
Sandy Bay and Manchester Bath and Tennis and Bass Rocks
Yeah.
and Eastern Point. So it was a great place to grow up as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Deb, when you see all these things that happened years ago, the sewing circle, the seafair,
they've all
I
continued.
mean, and to see that still continue now,
Yes.
and just the way the village participates in perpetuating and maintaining the buildings, how's that feel to be a part of that?
Well, it's great. It's great. And my parents, so everybody gives back as it turns out. I can remember as a kid, my parents, for the Seafair, for instance, they were responsible for bringing these cold drinks from Twin Lights. And so they had a big fish barrel here
Rest
that they
in
used to
peace.
soak the fish in to salt it before they dried it. So my dad worked in the wharf, and my family had been involved in the fishing business for a long time. So they were responsible for bringing this big tub up, fill it with ice, and so cold drinks out of that. Then my dad ended up serving as director here and the president of the Village Hall Association, and served until his death. And I came along right behind him. So I was president of originally the Village Hall Association, and then president of the Annisquam Association now, which sort of owns the buildings, if you will. And so everybody gets back.
And the Seafair has been,
Seafair
I think it just
has been
celebrated its 175th year,
Yes.
which is
And
amazing.
there was some talk about that was the longest continuously running village fair.
Right.
Wow.
And so there's a,
It's amazing.
but it's people. It's an interesting village anyway. But everybody sort of grew up with the fact that to give back and try to make these things happen.
Yeah.
And there are many generations in this village too, right?
yes.
You know, which is that doesn't happen in many places anymore.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. And it's we're going through another evolution. So it used to be when the summer cottages were opened up again through the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and then it's gone through another morph where it's become a very desirable place to be in this feeling of village, which is great. However, it's bothersome to me. So the next generation coming along maybe can't afford to be here, and I think
Right.
we see that all through
The squeeze is on for
the
sure.
squeeze is on,
Right.
and so it's very difficult to raise children, get them through school, and
support
buy
a
a
second
house, and
home.
oh, by the way, save for college, all this kind of stuff. So
Good luck.
yes, so I bend over backwards to try and see that we encourage younger people to be here.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask another point too. Like, you think of the iconic points of Annisquam, Squam Rock, and the lighthouse, of course, the footbridge too.
Yes.
And so you were born just after the drawbridge was done away with, right? There was a
Well,
drawbridge there.
Oh yes, and I drove across it.
Yeah.
I used to work I used to row to work across the cove.
No kidding.
And ran the marina side of when it was a bigger operation. It was a grocery store. We had a meat cutter there and a fish cutter and whatever. And so I ran the docks. That's where I met my wife, actually. I row across.
What was
the
she
age of
doing?
16.
Was she working there?
No, her family had a boat.
Oh.
He was a doctor, and they came up, and I was helping the boatman, and there were these 4 beautiful young ladies in 2-piece bathing suits. And
That's
but
great.
going back to your original question was
About the footbridge and the drawbridge.
yes. So
and-
I actually drove across that as a kid, and I think it was not till I went to college that they closed it down and made it become a footbridge. And it was quite a production because my dad was president of the Village Hall at the time, and so we were trying to campaign to get another bridge put there, rather than just having it taken out. And the state came back, and I have the drawing somewhere in the attic. We would take 2 ways of Washington Street. They were going to have to funnel it down and take out half of Bridgewater Street,
Really?
and it was going to be a concrete structure and to be a certain height and whatever else.
Oh my gosh.
And everybody here said we can't possibly do that.
No kidding.
So they went back and said, well, can we possibly build just a wooden footbridge? And the state said, well, we don't build footbridges. So my dad went to Bar Harbor, Maine,
Funny.
and spoke to the people in Bar Harbor, because going across Bar Harbor is a footbridge
Yeah.
connecting the 2 sides of the harbor. And so the state got together. Maine came back and said, well, this is how we did it. And sure enough, Massachusetts was able to do that with matching funds, and so now we have the footbridge. Yeah.
And when was that built?
Oh boy.
I thought it was like 46 or so, but I
Well,
think I'm
no,
off.
it goes back because.
Oh, not the
well,
footbridge, the drawbridge. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So
the
there
draw-
was a
taken out.
drawbridge.
There was a
Yeah.
drawbridge. They
Taken
stopped
out.
using the drawbridge, I think, in the
That's what I
30s
think
and
it
40s.
was, yeah.
And
then
you
it was
could
just,
drive
and
across
then
it
you
at
could
one
still
point.
drive across
yeah,
it,
okay.
yes, yeah.
All right. Yeah. Interesting.
So, Dave, we appreciate your time.
no problem.
We're going to come back, obviously, at some point, and we're going to have to tap your shoulder again because there's so many little facets about the history here.
Yeah.
And it's also just great to see the buildings here thriving, and the Village Hall especially,
Yeah,
knowing
and
that you've been
we're delighted because, quite frankly, we've had more occupancy in this building in the last 20 years. The idea is to try and get as many things going on here as
Oh, nice.
possible. And
That's
it is.
great.
And the Historical Association is revamped, and a lot of people, a lot of interest there. The library's open now 2 days a week, so it's, things are
It's a
happening.
beautiful building.
It
That's
is a
the
fascinating-
library there, right?
Well,
or that's
the
the
library-
Historical
back,
Society.
it's the end of the Village Hall building.
Yes, yes, that is gorgeous.
Yes, yeah.
And I love the Leonard School, the old Leonard School.
It's great
yeah,
fun, yes.
and it's my favorite shopping.
Oh, good.
The
I'm glad
Annisquam
to hear that.
Exchange.
We're going to
Yeah.
get Bud to ring the bell at some point, maybe when the
Oh,
show
yes.
ends or something.
Oh, that'd be
Very
nice.
good.
So, Dave,
All right.
thanks so much for
You're
your
very
time.
welcome.
We
Thank you.
really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
having here with us.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
awesome.
Take care.
That's Dave Pierce, village historian for Annisquam.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
that was
so.
great.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Let's talk
Thank
more
you.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome
you did
stuff.
such a great job on that timeline, Kory. that,
Well, you see, everyone we've had on helped me put that together. So
Yeah.
they just helped me get the chronology down, and then we pieced the narrative together. But it's it's pretty fascinating stuff.
but we haven't touched upon the stagecoach.
We haven't, and hopefully these ladies can help us. You ready to come up, Peg? Oh, here's Holly too. Yeah, come on up. And so I don't know if one of you wants to sit or if you both want to stand. However you want to do this, whatever's easiest
over
for you.
here?
I'll stand.
Yeah, I can stand.
I'll stand.
No.
No.
I'll stand up. I'll stand up.
You sure?
Okay.
Okay.
Am I taller than you are? You should probably sit.
No. No.
You're good. Okay. I'll
Okay,
sit.
so this is
Okay.
Peg Kohler, right? And Holly Clay. And you are volunteers. Is this the right for the Annisquam Historical?
There are no paid employees.
Yeah. Right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for
And-
volunteering here too.
Yeah. And also two people who are very instrumental in helping put the timeline together as well. So I guess so right off the top, can you just explain the Anaswam Historical for folks who don't know anything about it, where you're situated, the Old Firehouse, et cetera, and just sort of set the table for us for your role there and what happens in there.
Well, the firehouse was, the Historical Society was originally the firehouse. The building was originally set down at the other end of Walnut Street, was moved up here sometime in the,
When it was a firehouse.
when it was a firehouse,
Yeah.
yeah. And then was moved up here in the late 1800s, is that about right? I think so. And has been the Historical Society, I think, at least since the 1930s, if not before. I looked for a date early this morning, can't find it. So, and we collect and preserve anything having to do with the with the history of the Anaswam. So, documents, photos, what am I forgetting?
Ephemera. Yeah.
Lots of ephemera,
Yeah.
and all kinds of incredible things, and artwork as well,
Yeah.
and maps.
So what are a couple, or maybe one of the standout collections that really come to mind?
Well, probably the Native American collection. Well, is one of the standout collections. There were a number of artifacts found throughout Annisquam. One of them is a spiritual effigy that the original plaster cast was given to the Harvard's Peabody Museum of Archaeology and Ethnology in probably it was found in 1922. It was probably given in the 1930s or 40s. There was an inferior plaster cast found, I think, on Arlington Street, but don't quote me on that. And we have that one upstairs, and we have arrowheads and all different kinds of tools and things like that are from the Native Americans who.
This was a pretty thriving Native American community.
So Holly, would this be Pawtucket and Algonquin? Or
It's Algonquin and Abenaki.
maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So what are you doing when you're volunteering at the Historical Society? What do you have duties, or you're just digging into things of particular interest, or do you target something?
Or help historians,
Well,
maybe?
actually, Rita Teal, who's the president of the Historical Society, now and has been for a couple of years. She outlined our tasks, our jobs, like to make us look really
prioritized
professional.
things for us, yeah.
And I have done 3 exhibits, so now I'm the exhibit person. I did an exhibit on, well, Rob Russell helped a lot, but I did an exhibit on World War I, which was it was actually a man named Bob Griffith's idea, because he was in the military for a long time, and he said, you know, it was World War I's, you know, the celebration of, it was an anniversary of the First World War. So we did that one, and there were a number of people from Annisquam who were in World War I, 3 of whom are, there's a plaque out in the woods on the other side of the cove for Gossam was his name, and
They're still
Eric
around.
Lingard, and the other person was, just have to look at my,
That's fine.
Bertram Williams, who didn't live here, but Elliot Rogers, who was an amazing person who didn't have children and left everything to the Historic Society, was in Paris with the YMCA doing R&R during World War I. And let me see, he's also an Annisquam person, and James H. Cunningham was in the war. And then the other person I talked to was Peter Anastas.
Right.
And about Peter Anastas' father, which are incredible stories that I have, and pictures.
And Dave Pierce just mentioned to us while we're waiting that his father,
Yeah, we just found out that
So-
it was grandfather.
his grandfather,
Yeah.
served in the war.
So we didn't know that. Peter Anastas had a picture of a horse blown up in a tree from the front in World War I.
Whoa.
So that was great. Then we did the history of the church, Annisquam Historical Society, and the AVC, and then we did a history of the firehouse. So those are the 3 we've done so far. Next year we're planning Vietnam War, hopefully.
I think one of the most amazing things, I just started with the Historical Society in about 2019, and I grew up here, but then moved away and then moved back. So we have thousands, literally thousands of pictures that people have scanned, photos that people have scanned from the original photos or from the glass negatives, which are just astounding.
Unbelievable.
And so we have printed some of them, and we have some books we put together and some mugs that have the images on them, which we sell at the farmers market twice a summer. It's coming up at the end of August. But we also have picture indexes to the pictures. So if sometimes people will come and say, I moved into this house, do you have a picture of our house from back in history? So people have contacted us and said, we're looking for this, or we're looking for that. And that's lots and lots of fun.
Oh, that's so much fun.
And that's one of the
Love that.
coolest things about this area too. It's how many of those houses still look exactly as they did hundreds of years ago. It's pretty crazy.
Right, and there's been no vinyl siding. And it's not even part of part of the National Register. I mean, it's like it's just people's choices. You know, there's no.
So I need to ask you about the stagecoach. That's a big story, right?
Yeah.
Huge story.
Are you reluctant to talk about the stagecoach?
No, it's only it's David Teal's. He's the person who has spearheaded the project. He's the person who has done so much research. He's the person who contracted with the South Dakota
So to give
outfit.
people a quick backstory,
he's not here.
There was a stagecoach that ran back in the 1850s or so, right? And it was real popular right out in front of the Village Hall here too. And they are restoring the original coach, I believe. It's somewhere in South Dakota right now, and it's a long process, but
And
and this is being
yeah.
documented.
They're documenting the restoration, so they've gone down paint levels to determine what the original color was and what was painted next to what it was painted next. It's pretty funny. And so by spring, we should have it should be completed. And then they're going to bring it back in time for 2023.
Yeah, hopefully, and we don't know exactly
400th,
how it's
right?
going to be in the 400th, but we hope that it'll be put on a trailer bed of some kind and paraded and.
Oh, we should just carry it like a chariot.
That'd be a horse.
Yeah.
But I was amused to see, I think on your website, that it was just kind of kicking around here. Is that right?
It was
And
in the
kids would
historical.
sit
It
on
was in the historical
Okay.
set. Yeah. it
And
was
you
just-
didn't realize that this was really pretty significant to still own a stagecoach?
Oh no!
Oh, you
I
didn't
think
know that?
people knew it was
We knew.
significant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you know, we were able to get some funding, and we still have people donating to the restoration, which is phenomenal.
Okay.
Well, I think the Historic Society perhaps was laid back for a long time, and it took somebody with a lot of energy to begin to come in and dig into all of these things like the stagecoach.
Yeah, so that's what I want to ask Peg and Holly. So why is restoring Annisquam's history or maintaining it and telling those stories? Why is that so important to both of you?
You want to go?
Well, not just off the cuff. I think this is a terribly unique place. I first came here in 1983, and it was like walking into a living history. I mean, it's like Williamsburg. I mean, you're walking into a living history document, and so it seems to me that if the preservation is all mixed up with the idea that people really care about this village and that people have cared over the generations, and so it's really, really worth preserving and documenting what that was, so we know the foundations.
Exactly. Yeah, I grew up here and now live in the house that I grew up in, and which is fortunate. It was in the late 1700s, and so and I'm a librarian and ran a museum in the school I used to work in. So I love doing that kind of research. So I've been working on that for a long time, and that's part of the fascination. It's you're always discovering something new about things. Actually, we were planning a lot about the firehouse, and knew that there was, I'm changing the subject a bit, but knew that there was another firehouse somewhere in the village near the church in the beginning, as the very first firehouse on this side of the island. And my neighbor, unbeknownst to me, I had met him before, but just in passing, contacted somebody else who and then contacted me and said he wanted to know if I could get a picture of the first pumper because his house was the first fire station. We didn't know that.
Really?
It was on Washington Street,
exact address.
right down the street down the street from around the corner from where I live and right down the street from the church. So who knows?
Yeah,
you know,
right.
When you begin digging, like I found their Dyer letters in there, and Dyer, D-Y-E-R, and I can't remember his first name, was mayor of Gloucester for a little while. He was also postmaster here, but he was also a Civil War surgeon, and his records, battlefield records, are in there. I mean, just how many died, how many amputated, how many sick, how many, you know.
Sounds like a toe tapper. It's a good read right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing stuff. But now, if people want to learn more about the Historical Society, how can they go
Or
about
visit.
doing that?
Can we
Yeah,
visit?
right. It's open to the public?
It's closed to the public right now because of the resurgence of COVID. And but they certainly can contact us on the website. It's
Info at
Annisquamhistoricalsociety.org or .com. Do you remember? I forget.
It's on the website.
It's on the website.
Just if
But if you Google
it.
Annisquam Historical Society, it pops up. There's tons of information on there, lots of stories and vignettes about different aspects of the village history, and lots of connections to also online documents that were scanned through the Boston Public Library.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
That's really fun too.
Yeah. The other thing that we're doing, and I think it's at Rita Teal's behest, is that we're beginning to try and capture local happenings now, so that they're being preserved for history. So, in other words, there's been a 4th of July theme. Does anybody have a 4th of July picture? And they send them to us, and so we're beginning to digitize and catalog that kind of thing for
More recent history.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a spot where if people want to send little vignettes to us, they can do that, and then we'll post them and share them with everybody else, because the stories are just incredible.
Yeah,
Just
amazing.
incredible. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for, first of all, spending a lot of time in the weeks leading up to this event. I had to bend their ears a lot to research that piece. And it's been great getting to know you both, and we are going to come back.
Oh, good.
Someday
Good,
soon,
good,
and
good.
Are you okay with coming back on again? I know you're a little nervous at first, but this was pretty painless, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have other cohorts in the Historical Society we can bring on too, so they can kind of, you know, they have other stories to tell.
Yeah, the Teals are coming back. So,
Oh, there we go.
well, they've been in New Zealand, but their house is right there, and they're coming back soon.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's what we
Steve
hear.
Harris too was a big part of
yeah,
this
yeah.
too.
Steve
Yeah,
Harris
he
has
just
done
went on
so
vacation, but-
so much videography of interviewing people who we've
And
lost
Betsy
now.
Teal, who not Betsy, I'm sorry.
Betsy
Betsy
Horvitz.
Horvitz, who has done tons and tons of photo scans and
Research.
organizing and research. She's amazing. So
Well, that's
she
the
should-
great thing. There's just still a lot more to learn, a lot more people to get to know. Too.
Well, thank you so
It's
much.
been great getting to
Thank
know
you.
you.
Take
Thanks
care.
so much for your
Oh,
time.
you're quite welcome.
Yeah, Pet
Thank
Kohler
you.
and Holly Clay of the Annisquam Historical Society, and you can find them online. Literally, just Google it; it's going to pop up. You can't miss them, and they do great work over there too. And it's a really cool little building too, the Old Firehouse.
It's
been
beautiful.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I've been in the library, not the historical society.
Right. Yeah, the library is really nice as well. That's in the back of Village Hall. Is that it? Should we? I mean, we could put a shout out for people, but I don't know how to. We might have to go and enjoy the market ourselves. Actually,
I need
today.
to go buy my smoked fish
Yeah.
before it closes.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. So yeah, so the farmers market is going on until noon today. If you want to pop by and enjoy yourselves, it's absolutely gorgeous out. There's a nice little sea breeze here now too, which saved me that last half of the show.
Yes, yes.
Now it's
the
starting to
shade,
melt away.
we're totally comfortable in the shade, aren't we, Kory?
Yeah,
It's fine,
I'm
yeah.
pretty good for this. Yeah, you get the. I'm surprised you did the. Did you use shades for the whole show? I didn't even realize.
I did, because I still felt squinty, so even though we are in the shade. So this was really beautiful to be here today.
Yeah.
And to learn so much about the village.
Yeah.
Because it's like a little universe over here, right?
Well, it's weird. I mean, I'm like not a lifer, but I've spent most of my life here in Gloucester, and I don't spend a ton of time in Annisquam, you know?
Yeah.
And then once you get into these historical societies and you meet the people around here, it's like, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. And then you start making connections with either family or friends, and their, generations pass, and it all starts to come together. And just fortunate to grow up in a place like this.
So fortunate. One thing we were not able to talk about, and we could not interview anyone from the Annisquam Exchange, which is the building right in front of us, the former Leonard School, and it is the best shopping on Cape Ann.
Well, you know, it's really one of the things I love most about Cape Ann today is we visit these neighborhoods, we tell part of the story, and then we come back and we tell a different part of that
Yes,
story.
we will do that too,
Yeah,
because
we'll
there's a
come
lot
back here
to say.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we want to thank today's guests. Let's hope they get this all right. But Val Gilman, Ward 4 Councilor, is here with us. Chris Griffiths from Gloucester Stage. Terry Sands of the Annisquam Village Players. That production is going on tonight and tomorrow night. AnnisquamVillagePlayers.com if you want tickets. We just talked to Holly Clay and Peg Kohler of the Annisquam Historical Society. Bud and Lily Riss of the Annisquam Farmers Market. Thanks for having us here. And Dave Pierce, I call him the village historian. So
was good.
great stuff there too. And our crew, of course, on camera, David Lufkin, as always. Thanks, Dave. Our floor manager, Alana Horn. Thank you, La. And our staff, Becky Coyle, production manager, Matt McMakin, the technical director, Kyle Davey, digital director, Maureen Aylward, general manager, and Eric Archer, the executive director. Our next show, Heather, is going to be Friday, September 3rd as part of Schooner Fest, and we believe we're going to be at the Schooner Adventure.
It's going to be so much fun. We were there together 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And hopefully it's
We
a
call
day
that
like
the
today.
notorious Anglers Cafe episode.
Exactly.
where-
And I think we no longer have the Anglers Cafe, right?
No, we don't, but hey,
So sad.
things can happen quickly around here.
Yeah,
you
right.
know.
Who knows? Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. Okay, so Heather, great job once again.
Thank you,
This was
Kory.
fun.
You too.
We'll see you next time on Cape Ann today, and that is it. Enjoy your weekend. Come down to Leonard Street here if you want to see the show. Bye
And
for now.
don't forget Seared at the Gloucester Stage, which is actually at Windover right now.
There you have it. Cheers.